on our trip down the New South Wales coast. We've had a stuff up and it was a beauty.
Yeah, it was.
Come and have a look at this.
We broke our boom.
That boom is busted. This crack has nearly gone all the way through, but there's still some metal holding. Welcome to Free Range Sailing.
Join us as we sail around Australia, visiting its wild places in our 30-foot, 50-year-old sailing boat, Marul.
Baby.
Good morning. So we're just plotting our exit of the bar this morning. We're going to continue our journey further south.
Yep, that's right. We've just got to wait till, what do we have to wait till? We have to wait till about 11, I think. With the bar crossings here in New South Wales, you want to wait till the last, depends on what sort of your boat is, but we want to wait to the last quarter of the high tide. And it's really crazy, like around here it's only a metre of rise, but the current really rips into the mouth here, doesn't it? So we're gonna wait till the high tide, then we're gonna carry on down the coast after we've crossed this bar. Yesterday it was breaking pretty, there was a bit of foam out there, but we've left it one day just for the seas to moderate because the big lows passed. But now it should be pretty tame. So that's less exciting for you. But it's
easier on our hearts.
It's better for
mine
us.
Anyway.
It's better for us. It's better for our boat. So sorry that you don't get to see us crashing through a bar crossing. But and what's our next stop? We're going down to Port Stephens.
Port Stephens. Have to see where we end up. Where's best when we get there, weather-wise and swell-wise.
This first part of New South Wales, the northern part, there's not a lot of harbours and anchorages. You know, we've popped into a couple of rivers. But as we go a bit further. Towards Sydney, there's a little bit more to explore, which is pretty good. But we're moving fast at this stage. This is not the usual free range deal at all, is it?
No.
All right. But what is usual is me drinking coffee and then going sailing.
Yeah.
Unsociable and quiet, throbbing endless to the bathroom. 2,000 miles.
So that was the Port Macquarie bar. We're getting through them and there's still no drama, so that's all pretty good. And that's just because we've got time to wait and to time our exit. So bar crossings, you know, they sound a bit scary to people, but in this day and age, you can, particularly for a yachty where you can sort of make up your own timetable, you can wait for benign conditions. They might not be quite as challenging as some people make them out to be because you just wait for the right conditions. So right now we're heading south. We're making our way down the coast, and we're not going as fast as we possibly could. You know, we're only doing 5 knots, and even that's a little bit quick. You know, it's putting us in our next port at Port Stephens at about 4 in the morning. So I've popped a reef in the mainsail. The head sail's fully out, and when we go down the coast, we'll go away from the wind and we'll see how things are then. But I think I might leave a reef in because you're not always trying to make the boat go as fast as you possibly can and get maximum performance. A lot of it you're trying to time the arrival at the port to coincide with the best tide to carry you through. Or if you're going into a strange any sort of passage, you might just want to do it in daylight. So anyway, we're having a pretty sedate sail. We've just passed a couple of whales. Didn't film them, we were too busy pointing and laughing. So we're just going to kick back now and just have a relaxed sail down the New South Wales coast.
Nap time?
It's a bit silly feeling sick in these conditions, isn't it? Sometimes you can get caught out in the really calm conditions.
Ecstasy.
When you hear the term square rig ship, it means that the sails are rigged at right angles or square to the line of the keel. They were favoured for their efficiency of running down the trade winds. By rigging our sails like this, we are able to mimic a square rig, even though ours is a fore and aft rig, meaning it goes along the line of the keel.
Okay, so we've made it into beautiful Port Stephens on our trip down the New South Wales coast. Oh, look, there's moths. But we've had a stuff up and it was a beauty.
Yeah, it was.
Come and have a look at this.
We broke our boom.
That boom is busted. So, I mean, we're going to try, we'll bring you along on trying to rectify that problem. We're just going to try and splint it so we can keep continuing down the coast before we get another boom down closer to Sydney. But how did it happen, Pasky?
Well, we were sailing downwind and we wanted to reduce our sail area by a process called reefing. And we normally do that before it gets dark, so we're not trying to do this in the night.
Yeah, that's a good safety procedure.
Yeah, yeah. So in order to reef properly, you need to support the boom and...
Hang on, what Pasky means to say is... The boom, which is the horizontal bit coming up from the mast for you non-sailors, when you've got the sail all taut, it actually, the tension of the sail holds the boom up. But as soon as you take that away, take away the sail tension, unless you have a rope supporting the boom, which is called a topping lift, which is a line coming to the very end of the boom to support it, as soon as you let it go, that boom is free to fall down, and that's exactly what happened, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were dropping the line, the halyard line, which holds the sail up. When you drop that down, you don't have any, unless you've got the topping lift holding the boom, you don't have any way of keeping the boom up. And we always, I mean, the practice is the first thing you do is to clip the topping lift on before you do any reefing, and we just forgot to do it for some reason.
It was a total oversight. I guess it's a bit of complacency on my part. But because we're now, I don't know, because we're cooperating a bit more to reef, and I'm not sort of reefing by myself anymore, which is great. I don't know, like the thing on a boat that avoids a lot of problems, I think, is just repetition of the same old thing. And sometimes you don't think, I don't know, people screw up, so we screwed up. Yeah,
so the topping lift wasn't clipped on. When Troy went to pull the sail down, we had the boom fall into the water. Obviously we were wing on wing, so the boom had dropped down over the lifelines and onto a stanchion, which we've actually bent as a result as well.
That was minor.
Yeah.
So minor.
Yeah.
It was neither here nor there. But because the boom was draped in the water, it was exposed to a lot of forces and actually bent the boom.
Yeah.
Luckily we always have a preventer on the boom, and that stopped it from really just folding in half.
So the preventer was there to stop accidental jibing and things like that, stop the boom sweeping across the cockpit.
It would have been easier to show you on video, but guess what?
When
everything goes crazy, you don't really stop to grab a camera, so we're having to tell you about it. What we need to do now is devise some cunning scheme to take the bend out of that boom, and we're going to try splinting it. We don't know if it's going to work at the moment, but the theory is that a boom has to resist compression. You might look at a boom holding a sail out and go, oh, well, it has to resist bending, but that's not the case. because the sail's a triangle, it's held out at 3 points. And so those forces are actually trying to squeeze the boom in. So it has to resist compression loading more than anything else. You know, there's some side loading. But the main sheet here, you know, that holds the bottom of the boom out, that's taking sidewards loading. And of course the gooseneck is taking sideways loading where it connects to the mast. So we need to be able to straighten it out, and we need to get our boom functioning again, because we've still got a couple of 100 miles to go, Pasky.
Yep, yeah, it's not going to be easy to get a new boom delivered to us here. We're going to try and get a new boom in Sydney, so...
Anyway,
yeah.
When you go sailing, stuff happens, and it's always a bit of a challenge to see if you can resolve it. If nothing else, it makes for a good content for a video, I think.
But first we've got to see if we can actually straighten the boom without actually snapping it, so...
Let's have a crack.
Yeah. Oh, I would say that.
So this is it, all right? It's quite thin wall aluminium, and you're not supposed to go dropping it in the water. So we've got this really fancy crack here. It goes all the way under, and it goes onto the other side, and it's held by a bit of metal on the other side. This crack has nearly gone all the way through, but there's still some metal holding. So I'm really hoping that by putting a straitjacket on here, we can resolve our problem. And let me just be clear, this is totally a band-aid fix. It's not, we're not just restoring this boom back to normal. So we need to take the sail off, and we need to see if we can straighten this way and that way. We will untie the lines. I'll just get this. And then what we'll do is we'll just wrap the sail up in its cover, starting at that end.
We evaluated straightening the boom by hand, but as it was hard to control, Troy opted for another method. By attaching an anchor point close to the crack on the boom, he was able to use a 4-to-1 tackle and then apply steady pressure.
That's straightened it again, but this fracture is still pretty bad. So what we need to do now is we need to make a long, strong fiberglass splint. That got it straight, and it got it pretty true. So just by putting, what do we got? By putting it was a 5-to-1. By putting this 4-to-1 rig to advantage, I could very slowly give it some nice applied pressure and straighten it. And so what we've got is our #1 reefing line run out from the end of the boom anyway, and all I did was made it fast to hold that end. And then of course the gooseneck holds that end, and so by applying force with this, then we've just straightened the aluminium, but with control, rather than just bashing onto it. But that's holding in position now, and it's reasonably straight. So we saw that we got the main crick out of the mast, and now I've got this line, which is just one of the reefing lines coming off the end of the boom, secured to a cleat in here. And we've got another line just further up to act as a fulcrum. So we've pulled on this, it's acting on the fulcrum, and it's just left that mast under tension but straight. Straighter than what I could get it just aligning it and leaving it. So now what we'll do is we'll just prep the surface up there, because this mast is covered in epoxy, so it's got a pretty good adhesion. We'll sand up the paint that's in good condition, so the splint will stick to it. Anything that's flaking, we'll get rid of that and we'll sand that over. And I think where the boom bang goes on, if we've got enough glass, I'd like to make the splint long enough that it would go over that, so we'll have to drill those out and remove that and clean up that paintwork as well. All right, we'll have to go locker mining again. we're going to need to find, I know where the epoxy is, that's under there, and I think the fiberglass is there, so we'll just do a bit of a stock take and see what we've got. What else do I need? I need a drill and drill bits to remove the boom vang, and then I think I've got a multi-tool there with some sanding paper, but we've got plenty of sandpaper on board as well. We just have to find it. And that westerly has arrived. What do you think, Pasky? Good anchoring?
Pretty good. I think we're cranking the power into the batteries right now.
That's good, because I'll probably need to recharge the battery drill.
Yep.
So we've still got a little bit of this double bias glass that was left over from when we were repairing the hull. How long ago was it, Pasky? Over a year ago now.
Repairing the hull.
The holes in the
hull. The osmosis blisters, yeah. Yeah, it was a year ago, exactly.
So I got some double bias glass, so that stuff's really great. That's really strong. And we've also got, so we've got a fair width of it. So what I think we might be able to do is to actually get the job started. And that's, gee, that's really old. This came with the boat. Look at the rust stains on it. I don't know if we'll use that. But I've always carried around a little patch of emergency glass just in case we needed to sort of careen the boat and patch up a hole if absolutely necessary. So that's what, or make a splint for a mast, which is what's going to happen. So all of this stuff should be good enough to get 3 good layers on there, Pasky.
So what's next? Prepping the boom?
There's prepping the boom, but also we need to just evaluate how much actual resin we've got on board, because it's no good having all that glass. And it's not by any means a lot, but we need to see how much epoxy we've got. Success. Judging by the weight of that, it's about the same. So we should be able to have enough resin in here to wet that glass out to get that job started. So yesterday we sanded the paint, we feathered off the areas where the paint had sort of bubbled away, and the aluminium where it's exposed, not exploded. I just quickly sanded that because aluminium protects itself with a coat of corrosion. You know, it's a little bit powdery, so I quickly just got that back to shiny aluminium, and I quickly just wanted to give that a coat of resin, and then we'll start laying that glass on.
The truth. I wish we could start over. I wish we could make the rules, and I wish that we could be better. I keep asking what's the use.
Okay, so we've put 3 layers of glass on. I had to put the camera down to help Troy. Just consolidating it and getting it all, the glass all wet out. And we've got 3 layers on. And what's your plan next, Troy?
So we're going to let this cure, and then I'd like to just dress it a bit, like sand it down, and get another layer of glass on to finish it.
Yep.
Someone told me there's no point, 'cause when it hurts with no return.
Alright, well everything looks nicely cured up, looks strong. We've got just a final wrap. We've got reducing in size, so we've got the widest bit of fiberglass that we had on board first, and then narrow, and then the double bias was narrow again. And then just to finish it off, I'd sanded it and I put a thin strip that I had just straight across the top to make it smooth, because this is the part where the mainsail is going to be. It's got a groove along the top here. The foot of our mainsail doesn't have slides or anything. It's loose footed, so it doesn't matter that we've covered this groove over. We took off this connector here. This stainless was actually causing a fair bit of corrosion in there. That's what the boom vang attaches to, which stops the boom from lifting up when you hang the boom right out. We haven't used that for a while because we use the preventer, and that keeps the boom down. If you look back at some of this old footage, you'll see that we often use a preventer, and with the main sheet like that and the preventer like that, it forms a triangle. That holds our boom from rising up. No racers are going to be convinced by that, but it works pretty well on a cruising sailboat. So this is nice and strong. It is epoxy, so it'd be sensitive to UV light, but for the time being we don't really have paint, and it's not perfectly finished, and it is also a temporary repair. This boom I reckon is pretty strong because, again, it's the compression that we want to defeat. But what do you reckon, Pasky?
Pretty strong. Glass is strong. It's thicker than the aluminium.
It's thicker. It's thicker than the aluminium. But anyway, the only way we're really going to know is to go for a sail.
Join us next week as we test sail our boom repair and get stuck into some of the local wild seafood on offer. Thanks for watching this week, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Also, when subscribing to Free Range Sailing, make sure you hit the bell button so that you stay notified of all our upcoming releases.